A sensitive subject in Five Nights at Freddy's has been tossed around in many theories is what's in the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 box. I haven't made a theory about this yet, so I thought why not and make a theory about it, and I honestly think I've pretty much solved it, so stay tuned for this video. Now first I want to talk about the past and when the origins of the FNAF 4 house, because that's where the box is. I want to talk about Secrets of the Mimic. Now in one of the endings of Secrets of the Mimic, we can see the Five Nights at Freddy's 4 house, and out of the closet we can see a baby mimic thingy. Don't really know what to call it, so I'm just going to call it BM, standing for baby mimic. Now we can see BM holding a tiger plushie and walking out of the closet, and then afterwards we get no context on what it was or anything afterwards. It's just left at that, and it's the ending. Moving on from that, I want you to remember that though. Anyway, after this, William Afton and Henry take the restaurant and the title from Edward and keep it for themselves. And most of the animatronics and things we see in the later FNAF games was taken from Edward, either if it's heavily inspired or if it's blatant copy. We can see this within Bonnie being inspired heavily by Edward. We can see this with Foxy as he's a puppet in it. We can see this from Chica being an already animatronic. We can see it a lot of things. Even Fredbear and Spring Bonnie are copies. I want you to remember that also. Now, the main person in this theory is going to be CC, the Crying Child. Now, I don't believe that the Crying Child is in the FNAF 4 box, because hear me out. In Midnight Motorist, we can see William Afton going into Junior's. Junior's is the FNAF 2 location, which during this CC is dead. Now, we go to Junior's and we can see a yellow man representing Henry, and he tells him he cannot come into the restaurant. We can later see a single grave in a parking lot near William Afton's house. I believe that this is the Crying Child. And it lines up pretty well, because during FNAF 2, William Afton kicks out of the restaurant, and then we can see a singular grave, and we can see the interaction between Henry and William Afton, and that single grave would represent CC, because that's like kind of around the time that William Afton was kicked out, so it kind of does make sense. After CC's death, we can see William Afton having a long speech to CC about how he will rebuild him. It is theorized by me that he attempted to use a sister location animatronics to kind of rebuild him with the remnant in a new form as a new animatronic. Obviously this didn't work because we don't see CC as an animatronic. I believe that William Afton tried to kind of mimic the BM design into making a new CC, because we could think of the design and how accurate it is to CC. We can see BM holding a little plushie, and we can see CC holding a plushie literally everywhere he goes. It's the Golden Freddy plushie. And we can see William Afton especially copying a lot of Edward's designs. If it's Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, they're all copied. Even Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, they're all copied by William Afton. So it makes sense that he would use BM as a copy to make his kid come back to life. And I feel like when he says, "I will rebuild you," he's referencing BM in this situation. Now that we understand that he was going to use BM to bring back CC, the real question is now, why didn't he? Well, again, as I was saying, he was quite focused on trying to use the sister location animatronics to bring him back. And by the time that he would have realised that obviously it wasn't going to work, he would have already been put in the spring-locked suit and spring-locked. And in FNAF 3's minigames, it takes place in, I think, FNAF 1, we can see him destroying animatronics one by one. And then obviously on the last night, he gets spring-locked. So I don't think he would have enough time to kind of put the mimic in an environment where that he was going to be able to mimic the CC. You know, and it's just really interesting to me how similar that CC and BM are just originally. You know, we can see BM holding a little tiger plushie, and we can see CC, you know, bringing around this Golden Freddy plushie everywhere. And we can see, you know, BM, as he's walking up to you, he's quite skeptical and he's scared. And, you know, that's basically who CC is. So it's really interesting to see these two characters go to hand. And it'd be really interesting
to see maybe in a future game where Steelwall and Scott Cawthon expand on BM and, you know, kind of reveal more about him. And I really like this theory. Hopefully that it, you know, gives more evidence to this theory being true, because it's quite hard for this theory to stand. Obviously there's a lot of holes in it, but just overall it you know, the foundations are pretty well in it. So, you know, it's not the best theory I've made, but thank you for watching. Let's just do a real quick recap. William Afton and Henry steal the company, and we can see a lot of the designs that William and Henry make are blatant copies of Edward's or just heavily inspired. Moving forward, when CC dies, we can see Henry saying he was going to rebuild him. I believe this is referencing BM. As a start, he uses the sister location animatronics to try and bring in enough remnant to make a new CC, but fails. And then as he realizes that BM is the key to bringing him back, he goes to the FNAF 1 location to destroy the original animatronics, and in doing so, the souls of those kids trap him into a room and he gets spring locked. This is the reason he wasn't able to fulfill what the BM was meant to be. Before he died, he put BM in a small box in CC's room just to, you know, make sure he doesn't lose it or anything. And that's basically it. There are quite a few holes in this theory, quite a few actually. I'm not going to get into depth because it's just going to make this theory horrible, but you know, this is what I think would be a really cool route to see what's in the FNAF 4 box. I know a lot of people think that it's CC which is in it, but I just feel like that's quite unrealistic, just because in real life, and we can see, you know, FNAF taking a lot of things from real life, if it's the paychecks or whatever, that you're not obviously allowed to take the dead bodies. You know, you have to hand them over to the funeral people or just the cops or someone, but you're not allowed to have it. So I feel like it's quite unrealistic for him to have it. And, you know, obviously we can see him speaking to CC in a hospital. And at that point, if it's in the hospital, yeah, he's not getting it out. So, you know, I feel like it's quite unrealistic. But this would be a pretty cool route to see if this is, you know, obviously what the theory is, if this theory is true. But yeah, we'll just see what happens once in the next game. It'd be really cool to see if they kind of do take this route of this ending. I doubt it, but it would be really cool to see. Hopefully they do. So it would be cool to see what they do with BM, but I really enjoyed making it. So yeah. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and see ya.